Alright, this is Cody here with my recap for the Ultimate Fighter 10 finale. And let's get into this. Fights. I'm going to try to do this in order. First fight they showed, Big Baby versus Matt Matrione. Really interesting fight. I had picked Big Baby in this, but I was really surprised to see Matrione be able to survive the ground attacks by Big Baby here, Marcus Jones. Jones's striking is so awful here. I mean, it's weird because when he punches, he just kind of leans into his punches. He doesn't, pick his shots and put his power into them and, turn a hip or anything. He just leans over into these punches. And it's just kind of awkward to watch. And Matt just timed him and not KO'd him. Hit him once, and he's pretty much out then, but hit him on the way down. And that's all she wrote.
Southpaw stance for Matrione. Good right. Jones goes, that's it, and it is all over. See, Marcus Jones very rudimentary with his stand-up. Look at it. And caught him with another one on the way down. Jones just very stiff. Really.
Veach versus Edgar, they showed next. A really interesting fight. Veach had some really nice, huge takedowns.
To his feet. Look at Veach. Veach with the big power slam.
In the first round, it was pretty close. It's pretty close in the first round. I mean, I'd almost give it a draw or something. But in the second round, Edgar found his where he wanted to be punch-wise and was able to catch Veach. Veach goes down a little bit, and he goes after him. And if he can't get him to punch out, he'll take the rear naked choke, and that's what he gets for the win.
Finish, guys. He's got it. He's it's all over.
They had some more time on the cards. They showed us Bobek defeating Brammer by standing rear naked choke.
Long time. He's gonna tap. Yeah. He's tapping. It's all over.
So here's where we get to the tricky Kimbo Slice versus Houston Alexander fight, because the fight starts and the fight didn't really start. It was Kimbo in the middle and Houston rotating around him for the first, I think it was about 3 minutes, just 3 minutes of that. Every once in a while Houston breaks out a kick to the left leg, I believe. Other than that, that's pretty much it. Just more rotating. He did not want to get hit, it looked like, by Kimbo at all. He covering up really drastically after these little tiny leg kicks just seemed way overcautious for Kimbo. He really respected Kimbo's hands too much here. But pretty much, I say he eked out the first round. I just gave it to him. The second round was a little different. I give that round to Kimbo 10-8. It was pretty much all Kimbo getting all kinds of crazy takedowns, which is crazy to think about. But he was dominant. He had good positions, and he's trying to actually finish the fight. So, yeah, I give that round to Kimbo. And the third round was kind of a mix of the first two, so it was close. I actually had that draw. So I would say the winner was Kimbo. It was really funny watching them both be gassed at the end of it. That was funny.
Seconds of the fight. Wow. Perhaps shocking the MMA world. It
wasn't all his fault, though. Houston Alexander employed a game plan, like I said, that really didn't want to finish the fight, but wanted to ink out the fight, just eke it along there and get enough leg kicks and get enough strikes in to, win rounds. And he almost got away with it. He almost did. But then Kimbo really showed himself in the second round, like I said, and dominated like crazy. So, alright, so Jones versus Hamill was an interesting fight. Like I thought, Jones was really dominating everything. Not that Hamill was getting really dominated early on. I mean, he was handling his own. He's actually improved his stand-up a little bit here. So I hats off to him for that. But Jones is almost just too good here. And I love that trip he gets to set up his full mount.
Jones likes the throws. Nice trip.
He climbs up on top of Hamill, and Hamill's guarding very well, but he gets up on top of Hamill, and he just rains down shots, elbows, punches like crazy, just like there's no tomorrow. Just solidly hitting strikes. Not all of them are getting in. Hamill's doing a good job of blocking most of everything, but he's just letting it all out. And this continues for a long time. He even kind of goes, looks at the ref and pleads his case, let's stop this fight. Because here's how I look at it. Hamill is stuck. Hamill's not getting out of that position. It's just like, to me, this looks like just like turtling. I don't understand why it wasn't stopped. He started throwing some elbows that were like this. I think they call them 12 to 6. And, you know, straight down. You can only go like that. So he gets pulled off of Hamill and gets 1 point deducted. And then the ref tries to stand Hamill up, and he will not get up because he is pretty much out of it, bleeding all over the eyes. It's really sickening to look at. It's really pretty grotesque. And then they go to the instant replay, and yes, he did throw. We already know he threw those elbows, but they were saying that the elbows in the fight. Well, the fight's been ended for the last minute that John's been on top of Matt. It's been domination. Hamill's been stuck. So that's what makes me mad, kind of. But they ruled it in favor, DQ for Hamill. If anything, this should have been a no contest. For an Ultimate Fighter 5, there's a fight between Joe Lauzon versus Cole Miller. And in that fight, Joe hit Cole in the back of the head. And they went to Cole and they said, "Can you continue the fight?" And Cole said, "Yes, I can continue the fight." So they went on and fought, and Joe ended up winning. Alright? But are you saying, though, if Cole decided that he could not continue the fight, he would have automatically won? I mean, that's the logic we're seeing here. So, why fight on if you could automatically win by saying you're too injured to fight after a legal blow? What's the point? I mean, if it's going to become like lawyer ball like that, where, you know, you win on these technicalities, it's really not that much fun of a sport, you know? Dana White comes out and announces the coaches for the Ultimate Fighter 11, and there'll be Tito Ortiz and Chuck Liddell. I thought that was kind of stupid. It seems like these guys have fought enough, and you know, Liddell's won the most. It seems almost like Liddell's lost his way back to fighting Ortiz again. I would have rather had Chuck Liddell versus Forrest Griffin in Ultimate Fighter 11. That's awesome, because that's Apprentice versus the Master. That's a neat little thing. Both guys have had their ups and downs, you know. And it'd be a good way to finish Chuck Liddell's career regardless of win or lose. It just seems like that's the way to do it. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Big Country Nelson versus Brendan the Hybrid Schaub. I don't know. That sounded kind of weird. They showed them at home and training and stuff. It was pretty neat. Well, the one thing that irked me is, you know, Schaub was saying stuff about Nelson, how, you know, he's at the tail end of his career and I'm so young and full of life. You know, it just, he has these comments that are very backhanded sometimes and very spiteful sometimes whenever he talks. It seems like he comes good in the text format. What I read on MMA Junkie, he sounded really nice, and you know, he was able to do a lot of damage control there on some stuff he said in the show. But you know, in live, in person, he seems to say things that try to cut other people down, and it unnerves me. I don't like it. Roy Nelson comes out to Fat by Weird Al, which is a great song if you never heard it. I love Weird Al, and I think a lot of people like Roy Nelson for taking on a song, but I do think it's kind of a weird kind of thing where no one's ever going to, you know, like Roy Nelson unless he could laugh at his belly. Standing up, it looked like Brendan was getting the better of it early on. Roy Nelson was getting battered around some. He went for a takedown, got him down, tried to do the crucifix thing, but he was just he's so close to it, and I was rooting him on. I was saying, "No, do it, Roy. I mean, you've done it 1,000 times already, but go ahead, do your thing, man. Do your thing." And then Brendan fights out of it. I'm like, "Uh-oh, this looks bad for Roy. Roy Nelson looks bad here." So then, you know, they started striking him more, and I started watching Roy Nelson connect him more shots. He was doing good. He was actually handling his own against a guy with a much bigger reach advantage. I think it's 5 inches. So I'm watching this fight, and I'm excited. I'm kind of edging my seat. I'm standing up probably at this point, and I watch the amazing happen. Roy knocks Brendan Schaub down with a temple shot.
You're funny. You should be a comedian.
Just work of art. Magnifique. That is a beautiful shot. My hat's off to Roy Nelson. Way to show the world that, you know, all these people that put you down and tried to say you couldn't fight because you're a fat guy. Obviously, they look like idiots. If he doesn't win any more fights in the UFC, I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm really happy because he did it on this big stage right here. This is all that matters. I mean, if it's all downhill from here, it's worth it because he really showed it. I don't think it is, but I'm just saying it was amazing. And I think Brendan still has a bright future in the sport. I think, I think the UFC will probably sign him. Now, if Brendan beat Roy, I do not think they would have signed Roy still. So, I mean, I think that last fight saves it for me because I was kind of on the line whether this was worth watching or not. And then Roy goes out there and does his thing, and I'm like, okay, all right, I'll give it in the win column. This is worth watching. This is pretty good. That'll save it. Good night of fights. I would say, some of it dragged down, but the ending there saved it. I'll talk to you later, people. Probably tomorrow.